Hello and welcome to the Melissa Cardinals Network. Welcome to the latest edition of the Cardinal Scoreboard Show. This is Trey Graham along with Melissa head football coach Matt Nally joining you from the Dugout Sports Grill here at the Z-Plex. We are glad you are joining us for episode number 13 of this year. Coach Matt Nally, I keep saying it, but now we're up to 10 wins in a row.
Once again, winning is fun. Yes, sir.
Yes, okay. Yes, and because you have to work for a living, it's my job to look all this stuff up. So do you know that the 10-game winning streak is the second longest in Melissa history?
Really?
Yes.
I know. Well, I don't say that. I don't want to say that. But I think I've been a part of the other one as well.
12 games in a row has happened twice.
Twice?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I was part of one of them.
In 2011, when they won the state championship.
Yes, sir.
They won 12 in a row in one season. Actually, no. They won the last 10 games of 2011 and the first 2 games of 2012. Oh. So that was 10 and 2 equals 12.
Yes, sir.
And then you were here in 2017.
Yes, sir.
When started the season with a loss and ended the season with a loss.
Yeah.
And in between won 12 in a row.
Right. Yes, sir.
So your job now is to match and then exceed.
Right.
12 in a row.
Easy.
10 in a row, pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to talk about the big victory over Midlothian Heritage in the playoffs. We'll talk about the upcoming game this Friday night against La Vega in a moment. And we're going to let you brag on our offensive and defensive players of the game. But first, let's talk about recruiting. I bring it up on the air when I learn of your players getting an offer. So first of all, we have to tell the audience, there's, like everything else, there's the regular world and the COVID world.
Right.
It even applies to recruiting.
Correct.
So talk about recruiting in the regular world.
Well, I'm going to try to not be, because this is a passionate thing for me, and I'm going to try not to be so passionate, because the NCAA, with allowing the transfer portal and then allowing the super senior because of COVID, has really hurt the high school athlete the last 2 years. So the last class and then this class has been really affected by COVID. And you don't hear about COVID that much anymore. But when it comes to recruiting and what the NCAA has allowed, is they've allowed kids essentially 2 more years of playing and not just their regular 5-year clock. So it has really hurt the high school athlete. Now next year we'll be back to normal and whatnot, but a lot of recruiters will come in and they'll say, I love that kid, but I'm only going to take, normally they take their entire class, but I only have room for 5 kids.
All right, let me add a little bit of parentheses for you. In Division I football, schools are allowed to have 85 players on scholarship.
Correct.
And they're allowed to recruit up to 25 per year. But as Coach Nally said, because of COVID, the NCAA said everybody can stay another year.
Correct.
So those players aren't leaving the program.
Correct.
And opening up slots.
Correct.
So what you're saying is it's difficult to get new people in the program because the old guys haven't left yet.
Right. That's correct. So you'll have a recruiter come in and, you're looking for those, that roster space. They don't have roster space. And, you'll have some recruiters that'll say, well, we're going to get rid of, these 11 guys. Well, the really good recruiters, that's still their guys. So they're not going to get rid of anybody. You'll have kids that'll...
Let me show you something else. Sorry to interrupt. I have to translate for you. You get your football scholarship from a college, but in reality, this is 4 one-year scholarships.
Correct.
It's not a 4-year scholarship, even though that's the term you hear. It's 4 one-year scholarships. So it does happen, unfortunately. A coach can come back and say, sorry, we don't have another spot.
Correct.
You haven't graduated yet.
Correct.
So when he says some guys are leaving, sometimes it's voluntarily and sometimes it's not.
Correct.
Keep going.
So you have, we call them the super senior. So, and that's what's going on right now. This is their year. So the recruiting class is still massive. Or their rooms are still massive, full. They're full. Right. We've had kids that have walked on, and even they only have a certain amount of kids that can walk on. And once they come into the room, when the room is full, they have to start getting rid of kids.
At each position.
At each position. So they usually start with the walk-ons and go from there. So it's really tough to be recruited last year and this year. It's really, really tough. But you're going to get kids like a Kel you're going to get a kid. Some school is going to steal that kid because of the fact of you're not going to. People aren't getting rid of people, so some school out there is going to get a steal. So, so what we do here in Melissa is we section it off. So I'm really good friends with certain Division I coaches, and I'm really good friends with a lot of junior college coaches. So I take the JUCO side of it, and that's my section of the pie. Well, Coach Hemsley is really good friends with and knows a lot about prep school. So he takes that slice of the pie. And then Coach Russell is our recruiting coordinator within football. So he takes the whole pie. But we have different coaches that reach out. So like I got Coach Hamilton's good friends with people in the Utah, that area. I got Coach Peel's really good friends with people in California and Oregon and places like that. And Coach Williams is more East Coast. I'm more in the state of Texas. So we slice this off and whatnot. We assign coaches different areas to reach out to their buddies and whatnot, just with a phone call, and then we'll like film a kid maybe in the weight room or doing a route or whatever the case may be, and send it to our buddy.
So you're selling your players.
Correct.
You're proactively reaching out.
Correct. And then the one thing that I did when I was a head coach at my last school, I just figured out what Google Docs was, and I still am not an expert at Google Docs by any stretch of the means. But I just figured out what Google Docs was. And I had an unbelievable player. He was not getting recruited. And what I did was I made a profile sheet for the kid. And I started sharing this profile sheet that had his Huddle link on it. That kid got a full scholarship to Texas A&M and played at Texas A&M. And I was like, well, this is the way to do it. Like when we were kids, the coach would come in and say, hey, who do you got? I got Trey Graham. Cool. Well, let me see Trey Graham.
What you did is you mailed out VHS.
Right.
tapes.
Exactly correct. Exactly correct. And well, now that's all over with. So what we did with the Google Doc, and I feel like I have changed the game a little bit with this. All the recruiters say, man, y'all are the best. So what we do is we have a Google Doc or a Google Sheet for every kid. And then we have one massive
every
one.
Every senior or every player?
Every kid that shows it that I want to go play college football. We have one.
What if you don't think they really have the potential?
Well, that's a good point. In today's world, right now, Trey Graham, I can get you to go play somebody right now. Just right now.
Okay.
I don't know how old you are. Let's just say you're 25.
Okay. All right.
But right now, you can go play anywhere.
Okay.
In no joke, we could go find you a place to play. So
you don't have to tell a kid, sorry,
right.
Not going to happen.
It's just, we have conversations because every kid wants to play Division I football, and every kid wants to play professional football. Well, when we were kids, it was more that Division I football player, Division I player in general, is getting the professional looks.
Right.
Well, that doesn't exist anymore. There's so many people in professional sports that are D3, NAIA, D2, D1 AA, not just the D1 kids, that are playing professional sports. So it's not about the logo that's on the chest like it used to be. It's more about, can you play? And because of the internet and because of Huddle and social media, that stuff is out there. So what we do,
you create a profile.
We create a profile for a kid, and we go from hand size to, your 40 time, your GPA, all these things that you list out.
It's a resume.
Exactly correct. It's an athletic resume. And then it has your hyperlink to your Huddle. So, and I'm going to tell you this is a true story, and it happened with Jabray Young.
Running back for Melissa a couple years ago.
I was sitting on my couch. I don't even remember the day. It was like a Saturday or Sunday, not football season, but I had sent through a Google Doc. You can hit share and put in someone's email address and it'll send it to them. I had sent Jabray's profile to this coach at Notre Dame. And I did it like maybe 30 minutes prior to sitting on my couch watching TV. And I get a phone call from South Bend. I'm like, this is and I'm a huge Notre Dame fan, so I'm answering if it's at South Bend. Had no idea. Well, he was on a golf course in Hawaii, and he was like, I just got this. I just watched it. I'm going to be in Melissa in 2 weeks. So that makes me
already
think,
scheduled, or because of that?
because of that.
Wow.
Because of that. So that is where I believe we're ahead of the game in that regard. So what we do, once that profile sheet is done, I send it out to every Division I football coach, every Division I recruiting coordinator, and every Division I recruiter.
129 schools, I think.
A ton.
Yeah.
And then every recruiting coordinator, or every recruiter that's going to recruit our school, I send it out to them.
Unsolicited.
Unsolicited. And then what we do is I'm the JUCO guy. So I make sure all JUCO schools get that profile. Coach Hemsley is the prep school guy. He makes sure all prep schools get that profile, and so on and so forth. So
you, as a staff, are sending this out hundreds of times.
Correct.
And do you get positive responses? Do you get ignored? Is it a combination?
Probably it's a combo. I mean, there's a lot of times where people, you'll hear nothing from anybody, and a recruiter won't come from that school. I would say it's more positive than negative when we send things out. And what the really hard thing for a kid and a kid's parent is recruiting isn't like, I'll give you a perfect example. So Nigel is a 4-star, he might be a 5-star now, I have no idea, recruit. Well, he's getting recruited right now. Because
sophomore defensive lineman. Right?
Correct, because of potential.
Yes.
Whereas a kid Jabray is a perfect example of that. He got an offer when he was a freshman, and he didn't get another offer until the end of his junior year because he was a 3-star. And what Jabray did a great job and his family did a great job of was just being patient. And that's the hardest thing to do, is just to be patient, because you hear all these kids getting offers and whatnot. The patience part is the hardest thing. But so we send all these things out, and I hate to use this word because I was telling my wife the other day I don't like this word, but I feel this way. But I'm old now, okay, and I've been in this profession for a long time, so I still send the hyperlink out because, I mean, that might be old school. I have no idea anymore, but that's
Seems
the way I
pretty
do.
good to me.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
But I have so many contacts now, I'll just call the coach up on the phone and say, I've got this kid, this kid, this kid. And every kid that's interested in playing college football, we push them because I really feel like there's a spot for somebody somewhere. So you can always go be a walk-on. You can always, you can go, if you really want to go play Division I college football, you can go walk on and earn a scholarship. If not, then you need to go the prep school JUCO route and try to go that way. If your dream is to go play Division I college football, we don't have a conversation with the kid and say, hey, you're not a Division I player. We don't do that. I don't want to kill anybody's dreams, but B, I just feel like you don't know what that kid's going to be in 365 days.
And in case that term's not understandable, D1 or Division I, that's the highest level of college football. That's the University of Texas, that's Texas A&M, that's OU, Nebraska, somebody like that. Baylor, of course, the Army Black Knights, right? That's Division I football. That's the highest level. And then Division I AA, which is now called FCS, and then Division II and Division III. Those are your smaller schools.
Correct. So we don't tell a kid that. And, I was a kid that went through that process, and, I was mailing out VHS tapes and things like that. And, I didn't want anyone to tell me that I wasn't a Division I football player. But that's how we do it, and we've had a lot of success doing it that way. But the biggest deal is I want to say this because this is the truth. Our coaching staff believes in our kids, so it's not. We are trying to sell our kid, but we're really not using that term as selling, as we're just promoting that kid. So because we believe in all the kids that we have and whatnot, and their ability. So, but recruiting is a emotional process, and if parents and the kiddos, because 99% of them have to be patient, whereas that 1%, they get 8, 9, 10 offers. Brendan Lewis is a perfect example. He got like 10 offers in one day.
And when one school offers, people ought to notice this, their rival will often
Correct.
offer right after that.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. I mean, it's weird that you say that because UTSA offered Caleb Otluski, and literally the next day UNT offered Caleb Otluski. Going to Nigel, and I'm really good friends with the head coach at UTSA. So, but going back to Nigel.
That's Jeff Traylor, the former Gilmer High School head coach.
Correct. When Nigel got offered by Notre Dame, I immediately called UTSA. We offer him. Well, I'm a UNT alum, and I know the recruiting coordinator there. So I know it's fixing to happen because I'm going to tell the guy at UNT, hey, he just got an offer from UTSA, and they were like, yep, we offer him. You know what I'm saying? So you're exactly correct about the rival schools and whatnot. So
now, before we finish, you do have a football player who has already signed their national letter of intent to play college sports, and that would be your kicker, Anna Blankenship.
correct.
To go play women's college soccer.
Right.
We haven't even talked too much about Anna Blankenship, but
Right.
we've been talking about college football, but she's already signed to go play college soccer.
Correct.
Talk about her.
Well, the first thing about Anna is a lot of people don't understand. She's probably top 5 toughest kids we have on the team. And we ask her to do so much. We ask her to punt and kick PATs and whatnot. And I don't know if you watched the North Dallas game, but she actually plays some receiver.
Played receiver, yeah.
But she is probably one of the toughest kids. And not just that, she's one of those kids that's willing to do it and wants to do it. And she went in the game, and obviously the objective was to throw her a pass and whatnot. But the first play that they called with her in the game, she had to block. And she did it. And she did not do it like, I'm a little Barbie girl. She did it with relentless effort. I am taking you to the ground. So, for me, I'm a huge fan of Anna just because of the fact of you don't have a lot of girl soccer players that are like, I want to try this out. And she came out, she goes through, and that's what people don't understand. We're talking about Nigel Smith. If Nigel Smith's doing it, she's doing it. So what I mean by that is this. If Nigel's practicing, she's at practice. If Nigel's in the weight room, we don't treat her any different than anybody else. She's in there doing squat, doing bench, doing lat pull. She does everything that we ask those other kids to do. She doesn't get to leave early. And that's all of our kickers, all of our specialties. But
Kickers are people too.
Kickers are people too. And she's in there, we lifted weights an hour ago. She's in there lifting, So, yeah, she's special. She's a really special person.
We're going to come back in a moment and talk about the Midlothian Heritage victory and the upcoming game against Waco La Vega. But first, you're going to get to meet the Defensive Player of the Week, and that's linebacker Cale Brakebill, and the Offensive Player of the Week, wide receiver Jacob Cusano. Take a moment and brag on those guys.
Well, Cale is going to be a action and verbal leader. He is going to be one of those guys on our team that when he speaks, people are going to listen. But he's earned that right. He's been a 2-year starter, all-state kid last year, but he's the poster child of what a Melissa Cardinal is. And that's someone who's going to always give, perfect effort. That's somebody who's always going to be positive with his teammates. And he's one of those kids, too. Like, if you're in a foxhole, you want Cale Brakebill next to you. So he is extremely physical, does his job extremely well. And that's just it, too. Like, he could play so many other different positions, but he does what the team needs, and him playing outside backer is something that he excels at, and we're super excited that he's a Melissa Cardinal.
And Mr. Cusano.
So I praised Jake in our team meeting on Saturday because Jacob he's not a verbal leader, but he is an action guy. And there's no one in the Melissa Cardinal football program that's going to do something to the best of their ability. That's going to be Jacob Cusano. He does everything 150% and does it to the best of his ability. And our offense is structured a little bit different from other offenses, so sometimes the receiver knows I'm not getting the ball. And Jake's still going to do his job trying to help his buddy get open. And not just that, the thing that I'm most impressed with Jake is people don't understand how strong Jake is. Jake is so strong, but he's so mentally tough as well. But it's Jake's blocks. When he blocks on the edge, that is something that I'm more proud of than any catch he makes or anything, because that is the testament of how good of a teammate he is. And he is a great teammate.
It's also pretty cool to get in the end zone twice.
Yeah, that's cool too.
You are watching the Cardinal Scoreboard Show. I do personally invite you and your family to come to our church home, First Melissa, Sunday mornings in person, 9 a.m. or 10:15 a.m. Online worship every Sunday, 11:30 a.m. Go to firstmelissa.com or the First Melissa smartphone app to learn more. We're going to meet Cale Brakebill and Jacob Cusano after this, and we'll talk more with Matt Nally. You're watching the Cardinal Scoreboard Show from the Dugout Sports Grill. Welcome back to the Cardinal Scoreboard Show. This is Trey Graham joining you from the Dugout Sports Grill. Our Defensive Player of the Week for the big playoff victory over Midlothian Heritage was senior linebacker Cale Brakebill. And this is not your first time here, so welcome back.
Thank you. Glad
Congratulations being the Defensive Player of the game.
Thank you.
And talk about what it was to get ready for an opponent the second time in 1 year.
Second time, I think we personally know like how the players play in a real life scenario instead of just seeing them on film, and we're used to them, and we knew the quarterback was their guy on offense, so we just had to key him and everything else.
Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't.
Right. And he liked getting out of the pocket and scrambling, but we finally got him contained, and that's when I believe we stepped up and stopped him.
According to Statman Ross Graham, 12 tackles, 1 interception, and 2 different half sacks on the game. So, you said it, Caden Brown, their quarterback, was the guy.
Oh, yeah.
What was the preparation like during the week?
Preparation was more to try to contain him more and keep him in the pocket instead of having him run around. Because
were you afraid of him running or throwing?
Running.
Okay.
He's way more comfortable scrambling and making plays off of that instead of just sitting in the pocket.
So, some of these people speak football and some don't.
Right.
All right. Talk about contain. Talk about in regular English. What does it mean? Keep them in the pocket.
So in between the two outside tackles of the offensive line, you want to keep him within that area inside. And if he gets outside of where, let's say I am on the outside, if he gets out and scrambles around, and runs around, he can make a better play and just
Okay.
kind of.
So what is the change? You widen your alignment? What is the strategy? You want to keep him inside.
Right.
So you have to be outside.
Yes, sir.
So what do you do to make that happen?
We kind of widen out a little bit more, and our rushes aren't as upfield as much, and that's basically it.
Okay. And did you feel more prepared having played them once before?
Oh, definitely.
Okay. And did the whole team feel that way?
I believe we did. Yes, we all.
Was there the potential of overconfidence since you beat them 2 months ago?
I think so. I think we came in at the start and was like, oh, it's just going to be another game. We're going to win because we beat them last time, and that's why I think the defense kind of slowed down after the first drive. So they scored, got up, and then we kind of finally stepped up towards the end.
Okay. And now this will be game number 13.
Mm-hmm.
It's always the case when you're in the playoffs, especially as a senior. It's always the potential. It's the end of the line.
Right.
How does that feel?
It's kind of, it puts pressure on more. I think it's kind of threatening and scary that this could be, the last game that I play in high school football. And it drives me more and wants me to push myself and push my teammates more to keep winning and keep playing.
And what is it like to be in an unusual schedule? No school this week, still having practice. You had Monday morning practice. So is it good to be in a routine, or does it matter that you're out of a routine?
I think it'll help us this week because we get more time to rest during the week and kind of sleep after practice and get more naps and eat more and come in well rested on Friday.
And tell us about the recruiting life right now.
Recruiting life, it's a little slow, to be honest. I've gotten a few offers, but still talking to a couple more schools, but it's pretty slow right now.
Okay. And what do you want to major in college?
Major, I think I'm gonna change it and go a little bit business.
Good.
I was looking at wildlife preservation and becoming a game warden, but I think I'm gonna go business. But I still have.
Did you see last week's interview with Gadsden?
I didn't.
He wants to be a marine biologist.
Ooh.
So you guys can team up on this
Oh,
thing
yeah.
somehow. All right, very good. Our defensive player of the week, big victory over Midlothian Heritage in the playoffs. Senior linebacker number 25, Cale Brakebill. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And we'll come right back and talk with our offensive player of the week, Jacob Cusano. Hi, this is Trey Graham. Welcome back to the Cardinal Scoreboard Show. A moment ago, you met our defensive player of the week, Cale Brakebill. Now you get to meet our offensive player of the week, number 13, junior wide receiver, Jacob Cusano. Statman Ross Graham says 5 catches, 97 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Congratulations on being the offensive player of the game.
Thank you.
Now, you said before we started that you've watched some of these programs.
Yes, sir.
I mean, everybody's watched these programs, of course. But what's it been like on the viewer side?
It's been pretty cool seeing like the questions getting asked and what they say the answers
So you scouted out this thing?
a little bit.
Okay, all right. And how's it been with your other guys? Like Javon's been here a couple times.
Yes,
Your
sir.
other receivers have
Yes,
been
sir.
here. Have you talked to them?
I talked to them a little bit today about it, what to expect.
Okay. They didn't scare you off?
No.
Okay. I asked Cale a minute ago. I'm going to ask you the same thing. You've already beaten Midlothian Heritage
Yes.
2 months ago. What was it like preparing to play a team a second time in 1 year? Because as we've discussed with Coach Nally, this is the first time Melissa's ever done that,
Yes, sir.
to play the same team twice. So what was that like?
It's like really hard to beat a team 2 times, so we have to be mentally prepared and like going into practice our hardest, and we know like the defense they run and know what we got to do to win.
So what did you think did you think they were going to make changes? Did you guys make changes?
We made changes. We know they're gonna make changes because what we did to them last time. So
Okay, so it's kind of a game.
yeah, sir.
You beat them and doing this, so they have to adjust, and therefore you have to adjust?
Yes, sir.
Give us an example.
Like we know they're gonna like go hard on Javon because what he did against them last time. So we kind of game plan around that and like know they're gonna try to probably double team him, and we just put our best people out there and we play our hardest.
Okay. Sam Finnegan only threw 3 touchdown passes. You caught 2 of those, of course, but
Yes,
Sam's been here several times as offensive player of the game. Great quarterback.
Yes, sir.
Talk about what's it like playing with Sam Finnegan.
It's fun playing with him because like you expect a good ball every time and he gives it to you.
Okay? And what is he like as the leader of the team?
Oh, he's a big leader. He knows when not to play around, when to play around, when we can have fun and practice, and he like steps on our throat when we're playing around too much.
Okay? And do you want to run a slant route with Cale Brakebill as the opposing linebacker?
He can't guard me, so I don't matter.
Yeah, okay, all right. So can he catch you in the race?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. What's your favorite class in school?
Right now, probably statistics, because I'm not really good at math, and it's pretty easy.
Who's the teacher?
Miss P.
Okay. And what do you want to do after high school?
I don't really know yet, but I kind of want to go into sports medicine and like physical therapy type stuff.
Okay. Have you taken that class at school?
I'm in sports med right now.
Okay. All right. And tell us about your family.
My family, I have an older sister and an older brother. My sister's at A&M right now, and my brother is an AC tech guy.
Okay. How long have you lived in Melissa?
I've lived in Melissa all my life since I was about 3. We lived in McKinney before,
Okay.
so I've been here basically all my life.
And Coach Nally's sitting right over there, but talk about Coach Nally and Coach Russell and their play calling.
I love their play calling. Like, they're really good people, and it's just like fun to be around.
Because you're on camera, right?
Yep.
Okay, very good. Our offensive player of the week for the victory over Midlothian Heritage, junior wide receiver Jacob Cusano. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We'll come back and talk more with Coach Matt Nally right after this. Welcome back to the Melissa Cardinals Network. A special treat for you. We are at the home of DBAT right now. This is Matt Nally. He's a football coach. This is Andrew Brown. He's a baseball coach. These are kids playing baseball. Andrew, tell us about DBAT.
So DBAT is a baseball and softball training facility for all sports as well. We got soccer kids that use the facility, baseball kids that use the facility. There's also tennis kids that use the facility. We are truly just a training facility for all kids.
Matt Nally, you're a football coach. Did a little baseball in your day.
I did. So, I was actually a head baseball coach before I became a head football coach. And there's so many similarities to the sports in the regards of hand-eye coordination and things like that. It's, it has to be mastered to be good at the sport. So when you have a facility like this, it's so amazing, and so many other sports use it. It's just, what you look for in an athlete today, and that's that multi-sport type of kid.
And you're also a dad.
Oh yeah.
Pretty cool place.
I would say so, yes, sir.
Yeah. All right, Andrew Brown, all the Melissa Cardinal fans that are watching, how do they get involved? How do they learn more about DBAT?
You can give us a call at 214-386-3228, which is also DBAT, the last 4 numbers, or you can look at our website, which is dbatmelissa.com, and we will field all emails or questions online or over the phone that you could possibly throw at us.
dbatmelissa.com.
Yes, sir.
And what's going on behind us?
So this is an all aspects camp right now. They're working over the load in the swing, which is also the most athletic position you need to be in as a sport or as an athlete to hit or throw or field or play football, basketball, anything. It's that point of impact before you jump, run, do anything.
So we are at DBAT, one of the other partners on the Melissa Cardinals Network here at the Z-Plex. Andrew Brown, Matt Nally, Trey Graham, thanks for watching. Welcome back to the Dugout Sports Grill. We're here at the Z-Plex. This is Trey Graham and Matt Nally, the Cardinals head football coach. Melissa is 10-2 on that 10-game winning streak. We said the second longest in school history. Had a big victory over Midlothian Heritage last Friday in South Lake. The score was 50-41. The second time the Cardinals defeated the Jaguars in one season. Back on September the 17th, Melissa won by a score of 48-28. Coach, let's go back a moment. It was 50-41 was the final score, but before that it was 41-28. They were up by 2 touchdowns. Momentum was on their side. Seemed like your offense was sputtering a little bit. 3 punts in 1 quarter. I don't know if I've ever seen that from the Melissa Cardinals.
Right.
What made the shift?
Well, first off, I believe that even, when we're back in off season, everything's got to be predicated off of being positive, having positive thinking. I'm a little bit of a hippie in that regard. I believe in brainwashing myself and others that we always got to think positive. So when you're in a doom and gloom situation, most people, want to get in the fetal position and, suck their thumb and be like, oh, here we go. Whereas when you continuously have belief in the objective, then I believe positive things will happen. Honestly, it's kind of weird, but there's a football rule about 14 points. And if a team gets up by 14 or if a team's down by 14, the next possession is the most important possession. So we're down 13. Well, the next possession, that's us. We have the ball. So if we score, the percentage goes up that we win. If we didn't score, the percentage is extremely low that we would lose. So that next possession after the 14-point swing was huge. So I knew that next possession when we were on offense had to be a scoring possession. So to me, the swing was keeping the kids calm. And that's just one thing, I don't think there was a kid on the sideline that didn't believe that we were going to win. And I do think that dates back to last year's Stephenville game. But everyone was calm. No one had a doubt, which was kind of odd because I'm not going to lie. I'm
You're down 13 points in the second half of a playoff game.
Right, but the calmness and the positivity, and I just went to my offense and said, "Hey guys, here we go. This is our drive. Just finish it up, baby. Let's go." And I think Coach Russell and his staff did an amazing job of taking the football down the field and scoring. Once we scored, I knew we were going to win, just because of the fact of you go to that 14-point rule. And I know that's weird, but if you look at this...
Well, I talk a lot about momentum on the broadcast.
Right. But you
can feel it on the field, too.
100%. But if you look at these statistics of football games, and when the score goes to 14, the next possession, whoever wins that possession, there's a extremely high percentage that team wins the game. So, and I knew we were in a really good situation. Them missing that PAT was huge. And then Walker.
I was going to bring that up. That's a tough run.
Right. Walker.
The holder, Walker Overman, ran it in
Right.
on a blocked kick, PAT, for 2.
Right.
And that was not a show your speed.
Correct.
That was a tough run.
Right. And what he did, probably at the time, he didn't realize, he was just, I'm going to be a teammate. Excuse me. I'm going to put it in the end zone. But that was such a huge moment, and it was such a huge momentum shift, knowing that we don't just have a 1-point lead, we have a 2-point lead. So that if you want to ask me what shifted, it was that moment, in my opinion. When Walker ran it in, I think that it broke their back.
Well, I mentioned it a little bit on the broadcast, but you went up 49-41 on that last touchdown. That's an 8-point game, and I said during the game that next PAT was
Right.
big,
Right.
because that made it 9 points in 2
Right.
possessions.
Correct.
And I didn't quite see the urgency
Correct.
on the opponent
Correct.
in those last 2 minutes.
Correct. So I think at that time he had two timeouts left, and so I had told my offensive staff, let's slow down and get in our 4-minute offense, and let's see if we can get him to kill those timeouts. And he didn't. He did not kill him until later in that drive, which that's his philosophy and whatever the case may be. But and I'm not criticizing him for that. He can do whatever he wants in that regard. But my offensive staff just did a great job of going down. And that's the thing about it, too, is you know as well as I do, if you can move the football slowly but surely, and that's what stinks. When you move it quick, it's kind of in and out of your mind. But when you just move it slow on somebody, it kind of just
There was a
breaks the will.
gutsy 4th and 2 throw it in the flats play call.
Correct. And, yep, I'll give Coach Russell some praise there, because when I heard it, I was like, oh, and I was like, yay. So,
And Finnegan showed a little speed on his
yeah,
touchdown
yeah,
run.
and you know what's wild about that is I was upset about the play call because when I saw it, I mean, all of our offense, there's so many moving pieces and parts, so there's a lot of times you don't know who has the ball or if Sam's going to throw it or whatever. So when I heard the play call, I was like, oh man, they got that B-gap fitter is going to be, this isn't going to be a good play. And literally Ashton got hit, and I was like, man, I told you guys. And Sam had pulled it, and I had no idea. I'm sitting there getting onto my offensive guys, and they're like, Sam's got it. So it was a good play.
And during the broadcast, Kenny Deal said the famous no, 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 yes, 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 after Javon picked up the bouncing punt and ran it all the way back to the red zone.
Yeah, so in that regard, when Jacob picked it up, everyone on the sideline was like, what? Why? Yes! Yes! So, yeah, we were the same way on the sideline.
Okay. Let's give a few stats just because this is what we do. Cardinals offense averaging 443 yards per game, allowing 279. Cardinals scoring an average of 43 points a game, giving up 19 points a game. And you did hold the Midlothian Heritage team again to that victory of 50-41. We haven't even talked about Ashton Mitchell-Johnson, 130 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. Finnegan, we said, threw for 3 touchdowns, ran for 1. So you got the sweep.
Yeah, yes, sir. And it's really hard to beat anybody twice, but it's really hard to beat anybody in the playoffs, especially, you know, after you get past that first round, everybody's good. Now you're sitting in round 3, everybody's still good. So you get a playoff victory, yes, sir. You should feel blessed.
Well, let's talk about round 3. It's coming up this Friday, 7 p.m. kickoff on Friday in McKinney at the brand new McKinney ISD Stadium. So the Waco team is playing the Melissa team in McKinney. If you own a Globe, that's an interesting fact. And this is the opponent, the Waco Vega Pirates. The Cardinals have played them 2 times in history. Melissa is on the wrong side. They have never beaten La Vega, 0-2. Melissa lost in the second round of the playoffs in 2018. It was ugly, 68-21. And Melissa lost in the third round of the playoffs in 2019 on a backbreaker, 45-42. not meeting in 2020, now meeting again in 2021, third round. So talk about the La Vega Pirates.
Well, first off, I want to talk about how I got McKinney ISD.
I think people would like to know.
So normally what you do is starting yesterday, you communicate with the potential opponents that you're going to get, and you start talking about places to play. So like Argyle right now, I'm trying to play Argyle at Prosper. I think that would be kind of a cool place if we couldn't get the Star. So
because remember, playoff games, the two coaches negotiated.
Right.
The state championship game is preset.
Correct.
District games or regular season games are home and home. Playoff games, the two coaches literally negotiate where can we play.
Correct. So we're in these 4-team agreements, and that's what the thing
because
that
of the
stinks.
two brackets, who's going to win and move on.
Correct.
Right.
So you have to. A lot of stadiums want. So like last week, a lot of stadiums wanted us, Midlothian, La Vega, and Kaufman all to be in agreement to play at their place.
To reserve it.
Correct. So as we would, start to set up these playoff sites, we couldn't get everyone to agree on a certain spot. So the game ends on Friday night, and we had still not found a place. And I have a guy who does this for me on my staff. His name's Chris Phelps, Coach Phelps, and he does a great job of contacting and yada yada. He does an unbelievable job. So I had 2 spots that I wanted to play. We were first on the list, and that's the thing that stinks too. If you don't call quick enough, you're not first on the list. You might be second, third, fourth, whatever the case may be, and you might not get that spot at all. So we were first on the list at DeSoto, and we were first on the list at Weatherford. And Coach Hyde said, I do not want to play there. Let's just.
La Vegas coach.
Yes, I just want to flip. Let's just flip. So
when you told me DeSoto and Weatherford before the last game, we were all expecting to have a long drive.
Right, exactly right. So he said, I just want to flip. Well, I'll be honest with you, I did not. I did not want to flip. So I contacted Coach Stinton, and I'm like, I don't want to flip. Give me some advice here, and this, that, and another. And Coach Stinton's advice to me was just win the flip.
If you know Seth Stinton, that sounds exactly right. Yeah.
So I said, you know what? I just screw it. Let's just flip and be done with it. So obviously you can't flip a coin. So what you do is
in the old days,
right? You would meet up and flip a coin,
or you had a 3-way phone call,
right?
And the third party would flip the coin,
right?
Yeah.
Well, you don't do that anymore. You do, and it's kind of weird.
This is weird.
But
I don't even know how it started, but it's weird. Go ahead, tell them.
You call and you say, it's a zip code.
It's
and,
weird.
So
if you'd study, you could win this thing. I think.
I'm
Explain to them how it works, though. It's weird.
So I would call. Let's just say I call you and say, "Hey, we're going to flip." Cool. And you'd say, "I want to do odd and even." You pick the city. I would say, "Okay, great. I'm going to pick Melissa." Okay, and then you have to say even or odd, and whatever the
zip code is what we're talking about.
The last number of the zip code,
yes.
If it's even or odd,
it's so weird.
You win, or you lose, whatever the case may be. So
that's why I say you need to memorize the whole chart. Every city in the state of Texas is fair game.
Correct.
Okay.
Every city in the state.
Yeah.
So, and I'm so geographically challenged that I have no idea where any of these places are or anything like this. So. I didn't want to, and I was against it, and I'm sitting there and I'm talking to Coach Russell about it on Saturday morning, and I got Coach Phelps next to me, and they're like, yada yada, and Coach Russell's like, if we're gonna flip, I'm bad luck, and I was like, nope, your luck's about to change. Here we go. And I called him and I said, all right, you give me the city and I'll say even or odd. Well, he says Hondo. I've heard of Hondo, but I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know, odd. Got it right. So
So when we say coin flip, it's actually this little game they're playing. Okay.
Right, that's exactly right. And I'm just, Hondo, odd. And I had a coach.
Now, what was that for? The stadium?
That was for the stadium.
Okay. Did he have one?
He wanted to play at Waco ISD.
Of course, he's in Waco.
Right.
And
right.
you had McKinney ISD.
Right,
okay.
right. And I had no idea that I had won. I had no idea. He had said some stuff, he hadn't really indicated if it was right or right. And I had a coach next to me who was on his phone.
Looking it up.
And he was like, oh, you won. So, but like I said, that's how
This
it works.
is when I tell you, you get insights on this program you'll get nowhere else. This is how this really works. They're in a dark room with a globe trying to figure out where to play a football game. All right, go ahead.
So I couldn't believe I won. I mean, it was just like, oh my goodness gracious.
So that settles
Thank goodness.
McKinney.
That settles McKinney.
But you have other things to agree on.
Right. So then you go to officials, and that's the most important thing is officials. So you can do one of two things. You can just go to the UIL and let the UIL assign you officials, or you can say, okay, and you always take out their officials, and you take out our
Their
chapter,
local chapters, right, yes.
and our chapter, and you're like, all right, well, what's a good officiating crew, or what have you had luck with in the past? And I don't like commerce. After that, I could care less who we get. It doesn't matter. Those guys.
Commerce chapter letters, care of Matt and Allie, Melissa ISD. There you go.
So
Your name's on their bulletin board over there. Yeah.
So yeah. So
You agree on the stadium
we agreed
first.
agree on the stadium, and then we went to the chapter, and we're like, okay, we're just going to use the Tyler chapter, and then we hit up the assigning. Goodness
Home
gracious.
team?
No, we're the home team.
Yes, but did you agree on that, or did you have to flip for that?
No, we did not flip for that. Usually you flip for that too.
Yes. But you agreed that was part of the stadium
Part of the
deal?
stadium deal.
Okay.
So we had contacted chapter assigner for the officials, and we contact them and say, who are your best 3 crews that you have? Then he lists those 3 crews out.
Because the officials get graded.
Right.
Maybe
right.
the fans don't understand
Yeah,
that.
they
but
get graded.
Yes.
So after each game.
So there's a supervisor who watches their film, and did you call holding correctly,
Right.
et cetera.
So, and this is something that if you'll watch, the white hat, and actually on this last Friday night, the entire crew, they have little recorders in their hands. So they'll record their foul. And then when you're done with the game, you get a printout of all of the infractions through the game. But the white hat usually will record, and he'll usually write it down in his book as well. And then on Saturday, I get an email from their chapter, and you grade that crew out, and then you have to send their film in to their chapter so they can evaluate the film as well. But then we had to flip on the crews. I wanted one crew, he wanted another crew, and there was a third crew that we both didn't want. And we got that third crew. So, but that's the big chunk of it, and then it's a bunch of junk after that. It's like what's the ticket prices are going to be, and are we going to accept passes, district passes? Are we not? Are you gonna? Which band is going to play the national anthem and things like that? So
People may not know that all of this stuff has to be determined ahead of time.
correct. And
guess what? Hopefully you can do the whole thing again
right.
a week from now.
Right.
Yes.
So, and it's kind of fun, it's kind of entertaining to be able to do that stuff and whatnot. But
So now they actually have a football team.
right.
You should talk about
yeah,
them.
let's talk about the football team. Yeah. So, first off, is they're young, and their running back is a freshman, and he's an extremely talented freshman. And the one thing that I highly enjoy about that program is they're going to be about being physical. And it doesn't matter if you're a freshman or a senior, they're expecting you to be physical. And that is their pillars. Like we have multiple pillars and whatnot. That is their pillar, and it's physical, being physical. So, but they have a young team, and they're going to be simple what they do offensively. They're going to be simple what they do defensively. They're going to be simple what they do special teams wise. But they're going to be extremely aggressive and physical while doing it. And I appreciate that. It makes me think of when I was a kid and back in the old days. It's just old school power football, and you have to respect that as a football fan.
La Vega defeated Kaufman 14-10, which we talked about this on the broadcast, but I think you were busy and you weren't listening. I told you that Midlothian Heritage was the first time you actually had a rematch. We had
Right.
the official rematch against
Right.
Paris, but not the actual. But there was a chance you could have had your first one
Right.
against Midlow last Friday, and then 3 in a row.
Right.
You could have gone Midlow, Kaufman, and then keep going, hopefully, Argyle.
Right.
Kaufman didn't happen.
Right.
Maybe Argyle happens if both the teams win, as we hope will happen. Do you call the Kaufman guys now that they've lost to La Vega to get any insights from them?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I called him Friday night, and I'm a little bit different. Like, I believe coaching's a fraternity, so I'm in a massive group text with all coaches all over the state, and just good luck and whatever. If we never need anything from each other, yada yada. And then I'm in a group text with the coaches in the district, and a group text with the coaches that are in the playoffs. So, and then I try to text each coach or contact each coach before each game. Just good luck, and if anything you need, please let me know, and blah, 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 blah. So I contacted him Friday night saying, great season, this, that, and another, yada, yada, yada. Also, can you send me the film of La Vega? Yes. And then, hey, what did you see here? What did you see there? Blah, 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 blah. So the district is a family of its own, but also, you're a coach, and coaches are going to help coaches out. I'm sure 100% that Coach Hyde called Coach Wigington there at Midlothian Heritage and said, hey, what did you see, this, that, and another? And I'm sure they had that discussion over the weekend as well. So, but I'm rooting for District 7 4A as much as I'm rooting for the Melissa Cardinals.
Almost as much as you.
Yeah, I can't lie.
You've been watching the Cardinal Scoreboard show from the Dugout Sports Grill at the Z-Plex. We promise you insights into the Melissa football program that you will get nowhere else. Remember, 7 o'clock kickoff this Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. 7 o'clock kickoff, McKinney ISD Stadium, 6:30 p.m. on the radio network for our pregame show. Melissa ISD will not be live streaming. We do not have permission from UIL to live stream, but the radio broadcast with Coach Kenny Deal and me will begin 6:30 p.m. pregame show, 7 o'clock kickoff. Your Melissa Cardinals taking on the Waco La Vega Pirates. You need to go to dugoutsportsgrill.com to learn about our host. You need to go to firstmelissa.com to learn about our church home. And we say thank you to Cale Brakebill, Jacob Cusano, and of course head football coach Matt Nally for joining us on the Cardinal Scoreboard show. We'll see you on Friday night.